like you have, and like, you know, like Islam has that problem too. You got all these tribes, and so a lot of things become tribal, you know.
Yeah.
And so prior to the Catholic Church, you had all these Christian tribes, and there were all these belief things. And one of the things that seems to be, you know, there's a lot more than this, but one of the biggies though is, you know, whether Jesus was God or not.
Okay.
Yeah, like who was Jesus himself? We were talking about this. Because some people say he was just a mentally ill guy.
Really?
You could interpret it that way. Hypothetically, it's not much different than what people do now when we call them mentally ill.
Yeah, if he behaved the way he did now, he would be locked up.
Yeah, 100%.
Or like I'll joke about myself about, you know, like the prophet and like whatever. But sometimes I'm like, what's so different about them than me?
Yeah.
Like you guys believe all their like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they knew everything and shit, and you listen to them and follow your life on it. But how are they different than me when I say shit?
They aren't. I think that's really what the story of Jesus is. I think it is.
Yeah, but the argument though was that whether Jesus, some feel that Jesus didn't believe that he was God. You know, like, in other words, like some thinkers like Origen believed in a hierarchical Trinity where, you know, God was at the top.
Yeah.
And then God creates Jesus.
Right.
Okay. And so he becomes like the Son of God.
Yeah.
And but the Trinity made Jesus equal to God. And that's different.
Yeah, that is different.
That's different.
Right.
The Trinity made Jesus that they were all one.
Right.
You know,
And
the
I
Father,
like-
Son, and the Holy Ghost. The Trinity was all one, but people didn't always believe that. People believed that Jesus was more like the Son of God.
Right.
Now, in Islam, you know, they believe that Jesus was a prophet. You know, which is different, which is even different. More in the vein,
What makes it
of
different.
well, Judaism. When they think of the Messiah, they don't think of somebody divine. They just think of a king who's come to lead them into better ways.
Yeah.
And so that's more like a prophet, whereas somehow the Catholic Church evolved to make Jesus that he was God. Even though in the Bible, there's, you know, like the Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe that Jesus is God. And neither do the Mormons. They believe he's the Son of God. In other words, that he's not greater.
But they all worship Jesus, right?
Well, no. The idea that Jesus is equal to God is different.
But do they worship
God,
him in the
that
same?
God
Do his followers
created Jesus.
Do his
I think
followers worship Jesus in the same way, though?
Yeah.
That follow that religion. Do they still worship him?
The Seventh-day Adventists and stuff.
I think the Catholic and the Protestants, they're all. I think the Trinity is like 80-some%.
That's Riley barking.
The dog's name is Riley.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is the dog barking? Right?
That was your daughter, dude.
Nah.
Well, they said like that 80-some%, you know, if people pretty much believe in the Trinity, that Jesus is God.
Yeah.
You know,
See, I think a lot of it's just been misled. And
Yeah, what's your take?
The
Like,
story
you
should be like it would like
What's your take?
Jesus is like the blueprint of what human beings are capable of. That's what I think. And I
but
think
it's hard to know what Jesus, who was this
He was
man,
a
and what did he
human
really
being.
teach? And that's what this guy Ehrman does. He's looking at the history of Christianity, and he's really studying, you know, the Bible, and he's saying, hey, you know, like, if you really think about it, like, why are the Gospels saying different things?
Right.
Like in the one Gospel, you know, that you've got the wise men to go visit
If you really
baby
break it
Jesus,
down, yeah.
but in the other Gospel, the shepherds are visiting
Shepherds are
Jesus.
there,
So which
yeah.
was it? Was it the
Yeah,
shepherds?
which was
Or
it?
was the
Was
wise
it the wise men?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
right.
And so you have in John, a Gospel of John, you have Jesus being crucified before the Passover. And I think in Mark, I get this mixed up though. In Mark, in one of them, you know, Jesus dies after the Passover. You know, and then
Wow, you're looking at me. Look down. You see that, right? Behind my laptop down here. Subscribe. Support. Seriously, you know, we work our asses off to supply content to you. So pay it forward. Pay it back. Like our channel. God damn it. Shout out Styles.